I want to talk about an entirely different subject just for a moment. Lend me your ears, not too long. I want to talk about the economy, and I want to talk about Federal Reserve monetary policy, okay? Stay awake, please. Hang in there with me. Here's my point. Unless Jay Powell's Federal Reserve wants to completely politicize monetary policy and slash interest rates in order to juice the economy and reelect Joe Biden, unless they want to do that, there is absolutely no reason right now for the Fed to take the foot off the brake and slam down the accelerator. No reason whatsoever. Fed Governor Christopher Waller said yesterday the Fed should not rush into rate cuts. He's right. Why is he right? Well, just think of this. Prices still rising, inflicting significant damage to middle and lower income affordability. In fact, over the past 3 years, typical family wages are about 4% below the increase of inflation. The inflation rate itself still above the Fed's 2% target. The unemployment rate still less than 4%. Retail sales came out today, at least through the Christmas holiday season, are holding up nicely. The Biden administration is still running a huge, roughly $2 trillion budget deficit, driven principally by a spending to GDP rate that is nearly over 24%. Compare that to the 50-year average of 20%, as they poured $5 trillion into the economy since coming into office. There is no recession at the moment. This could change, but the Atlanta Fed's GDP now, Q4 estimate is currently 2.4%. It's not a boom, but it's not a bust either. There are chinks in the economic armor, sure, most especially a long slump in manufacturing output and jobs. But if the demand side of the economy via retail sales is growing faster than the supply side manufacturing, that's a potential inflation risk. The Fed should be leery of this unbalanced economy. Meanwhile, the top-line CPI in December, 3.4% year over year. The core rate still 3.9%. Services 5%. Services excluding energy 3.5%. Every one of them well above the Fed's 2% target. And over the past 3 years of Bidenflation, groceries up 20%, energy up 26%, new and used cars up about 20%, mortgage rates up around 7%. You need $1.19 today in order to match the purchasing power of the dollars pre-pandemic, right? $1 pre-pandemic, you got to make $1.19 today. That's a 19% loss in the value of your money. The dollar price of gold is still very high. It's over $2,000. Wall Street keeps jabbering about 3, 4, 5 Fed rate cuts, but Wall Street loves easy money. Main Street working folks do not. The Federal Reserve projections, well, they show 3 or more rate cuts this year, but no particularly good reason ever given. A recent Fed survey shows, however, here's the rub, over 90% of the central bank's economists are Democrats. But I'm going to make a different bet. Hear me out. I'm going to suggest that Fed head Jay Powell is an honorable man. He will not seek a third term as chair, no matter who wins the presidential election. And instead, he wants to establish his historical reputation as the guy who got the inflation back to the central bank's 2% target. It's not exactly Volcker, because Powell was asleep for the first inflationary year. But I'll bet Jay Powell wants to redeem himself. So, caveat emptor, all you Wall Street doves, be careful. That's my rip tonight.